today's video, we are just going to learn the basics of social psychology. So let's start with the video. So first, let's learn what social psychology is. So it is basically that scientific field. Scientific field, okay? Just remember that it is a scientific field that seeks to understand the nature and causes of individual behavior and thought in social situations. Okay, so it basically tries to understand how a person behaves in particular social situation, and how does he or she thinks or behaves and why. So the scientific study of that is called as social psychology. It investigates the ways in which our thoughts, feelings, and actions are influenced by the social environments in which we live, by other people, or our thoughts about them. That is, we imagine how they would react to actions we might perform. So, social psychology attempts to understand the relationship between minds, groups, and behaviors in these general ways. Okay, so the first way is to see how the thought, feeling, and behavior of individual are influenced by the actual, imagined, or implied presence of others. Okay, like this will include social perception, social interaction, and many kinds of social influence, which can be trust, power, persuasion. We are going to learn all these in detail. Then the second way is to understand the influence that individual perceptions and behaviors have upon the behavior of group. This includes looking at things like group productivity in the workplace and group decision making. It looks at questions like what are the reasons behind conformity, diversity, and deviance. Then, third and finally, social psychology tries to understand groups themselves as behavioral entities and the relationships and influences that one group has upon another group. It asks questions like what makes some group hostile to one another and others neutral or civil. Okay, so this is like the basic of social psychology. It basically, this slide is all about understanding what social psychology is and what it studies. Moving on, so social psychology seeks to understand the causes of social behavior and thought, which includes actions and characteristics of other people. Despite warnings to avoid judging books by their covers, we are strongly affected by other people's appearance. If someone passes non-verbal cue to you that he or she likes you, then how would you respond will depend on your personality. Then cognitive processes. Suppose you are waiting for your friend and he or she got late and then they are giving reason why they are late. Now again it depends on you whether you will believe it or not. It depends on your past experience with the same person. Suppose that person is making the excuse for like third or fourth time, then you will consider it as excuse even though it might have been a genuine case this time. So it completely depends on you and your past experience with the person. Then environmental variables. So physical environment does indeed influence our feelings, thoughts, and behaviors. So these variables too certainly fall within the realm of modern social psychology. Then there are biological factors. The view that biological factors play an important role in social behavior comes from the field of evolutionary psychology. We will learn about evolutionary psychology as well. So, evolutionary psychology, it is like a new branch of psychology which seeks to investigate the potential role of genetic factors in various aspects of human behavior. There are three components of evolutionary psychology, and which are those variation, inheritance, and selection. Variation refers to the fact that organisms belonging to a given species vary in many different ways. Indeed, such variation is a basic part of life on our planet. Individual differences do exist, like different shape and size, Inheritance refers to the fact that some of these variations can be passed from one generation to the next through complex mechanism that we are only now beginning to fully understand. And the last one is selection, which refers to the fact that some variations give the individuals who possess them an edge in terms of reproduction. They are more likely to survive, find mates, and pass these variations on to succeeding generations. The result is that over time, more and more members of the species possess these variations. So I hope this all is clear to you. Okay, that what social psychology tries to understand and what all it includes. And I hope you understood the evolutionary psychology, the concept of evolutionary psychology, and the three main components of it. Moving on. Social psychology is scientific in nature. Okay. So when we talk about psychology, it's still a debate whether it comes in art or whether it is a science. So what basically is science? Science is a set of values, and there are four core values which are included. First is accuracy. Basically, a commitment to gathering and evaluating information about the world, including social behavior and thought, in as careful, precise, and error free a manner as possible. Then, second core value is objectivity, which is commitment to obtaining and evaluating such information in a manner that is free from bias as humanely as possible. Then, skepticism, a commitment to accepting findings as accurate only to the extent they have been verified over and over again. And last one is open mindedness, a commitment to changing one's views, even views that are strongly held if existing evidence suggests that these views are inaccurate. Okay, so these are four core values, and these values uh, are basically a part of science. Okay, that when we talk about science, these core values should be fulfilled. So, does not rely on personal experience, intuition, and common sense notions. Why? Because relying on the above things give you inconsistent and unreliable guide to understand social behavior and thought. Then, second is several methods that can be used to study a wide range of topics. Societies differ greatly in terms of their views concerning different topics such as courtship, marriages, violence, prejudice, and helping behavior. Because of this basic fact, the focus in social psychology is strongly on individuals. Social psychologists realize, of course, that we do not exist in isolation from social and cultural influences. Far from it. But the field's major interest lies in understanding the factors that shape the actions and thoughts of individuals in social settings. Okay, so basically, these two slides tells you that social psychology is scientific in nature because it follows four core values, which are basically the set of values that science possess. And then there are several methods that can be used to study a wide range of topics. So these two reasons make social psychology scientific in nature. Then why do we find some people attractive? According to the evolutionary perspective, because the characteristics they show, symmetrical facial features, well toned, shapely bodies, clear skin, lustrous hair, are associated with good genes. They suggest that the people who possess them are likely to be healthy and vigorous and therefore good mates. Here's another example, and one that is perhaps a bit more surprising. When asked to indicate the characteristics in potential romantic partners that they find desirable, both genders, but especially women, rate a sense of humor high on the list. Why? From an evolutionary point of view, what is it about humor that makes it a desirable characteristic in others? One possibility is that a sense of humor signals high intelligence, and this tends to make humorous people attractive. After all, they have good genes. Evolutionary psychology is a new branch of psychology that seeks to investigate the potential role of genetic factors in various aspects of human behavior. As we learned, there are three components of evolutionary psychology. First is variation, which tells us that organisms vary in many ways. Then there is inheritance, which says that some of these variations are inheritable. Then there is selection, which says that variations that are adaptive become increasingly common in the population. Okay. And this is like the crucial outcome of evolution. The process of selection is the crucial outcome of evolution. Consider it like, consider it like a class. You are in a class. So there are students from different parts of country. So there is variation, right? Then inheritance. Okay. So we are taking this as an example. Okay. Just like, not like from the scientific nature, it's just to make you understand. So suppose when we are trying to understand inheritance, so suppose we select those students who are good in sports, okay, because it is about because there is going to be one sports competition. So the students who are good in sports are selected, okay. Then suppose even in sports, only badminton is going to take place. So then there will be a process of selection only of those students who are good in sports. There will be a competition among them, and then only those will be selected who are good in badminton or who are exceptionally well, who exceptionally play well badminton. So this is like variation, inheritance, selection. Okay. And selection is the most crucial outcome of evolution. Then cutting edge, basically what new is happening in social psychology. So it recognizes that cognition and behavior are two sides of the same coin. Okay, that cognition and behavior are two sides of the same coin, and it examines social neuroscience, research area that seeks knowledge about the neural and biological basis of social processes, studies role of implicit, that is non-conscious processes, and adopts a multicultural perspective, a focus on understanding the cultural and ethnic factors that influence social behavior. These are like the new things which are happening in the field of social psychology. Then, what research methods are used in social psychology? First is systematic observation. So, behavior is systematically observed and recorded. So there is naturalistic observation, which is like observation of behavior in natural setting. Then there is survey method. It is basically a method of research in which a large number of people answer question about their attitudes or behavior. So this research method has many advantages, like data can be collected by large sample size, and but it must meet certain requirements. And there will be issues of sampling and wording of items because it cannot be collected from people who are illiterate. Suppose your questionnaire is only in English, so those who do not know English won't be able to fill it. So there are issues of sampling and wording of items. Then the way in which the items are worded can exert a strong effect on the outcome obtained. Okay, some might find it really offensive. So whenever you are developing a questionnaire, please be very mindful while wording the statements or questions. Then there is correlation method. So a scientist systematically observes two or more variables to determine whether changes in one are accompanied by changes in the other. It allows predictions to be made. A strong correlation yields a more accurate prediction. Correlation range from -1 to +1. The farther away from zero, the stronger to the correlation. Okay. Like if it is, for example, -0.9, zero point 0.9, then it is very high negative correlation. And if it is plus zero point 0.9, then it is very high positive correlation. So correlations can either be positive or negative. Positive correlation means that if one variable is increasing, other also is increasing. or vice versa. Like if one variable is decreasing, the other is also decreasing. So basically, both variables move in the same direction. Negative correlation means that if one variable increases, the other decreases. So basically, here the two variables move in opposite direction. For positive correlation, you can take the example, the more you study, the more marks you get. So, time of studying, hours of studying is directly proportional to marks scored. So, this is a positive correlation. Negative correlation can be, this is just an example. The more time you uh, spend in playing, the less marks you will get in exams. So, like, time spent playing is inversely proportional to marks scored. So, that is negative correlation. A correlation between variables does not mean that one variable causes changes in the other variable. Correlation does not equal causation. Okay, correlation doesn't mean causation. It doesn't mean that one variable is affecting the other variable. Okay. For example, positive mood leads to friendly behavior, which leads to being friendly, encourages others to ask for help. If you are being friendly, then others will be more likely to ask you for help. So it basically increases helping. So positive mood is related to being friendly, then being friendly encourages others to ask for help. So this causes increased helping. Okay. And positive mood leads to increased helping when we see that, suppose we are correlating that positive mood means increased helping. So this is directly not causing the helping. This is directly, positive mood is directly not causing the increase in help. How is it causing it? Positive mood means friendly behavior, and your friendly behavior leads others to ask you out for help, and that leads to increased helping. Okay, so there are other causes. Okay, not like the positive mood is the cause for increased helping. Then third type of research method is experimentation or experimental method. So one or more factors, the independent variables, are systematically changed to determine whether such variations affect one or more factors, that is dependent variables. It is used to attain the goal of explanation. It can determine causal relationships. It involves two key aspects. Independent variable is that variable which is systematically changed in an experiment, and dependent variable is the one that is measured in an experiment. It has two requirements which are to be valid and successful. Random assignment of participants to group. Research participants must have an equal chance of being exposed to each level of the independent variable. Then, and second one is all factors might affect behavior other than the independent variable must be held constant. If not, the independent variable may be confounded with another variable, which results in meaningless findings. So level of independent variable. So here independent variable is negative mood. Then level of confounding variable is if room is comfortable or not, or how much comfortable or uncomfortable it is. Positive mode is like independent variable, and level of confounding variable here is that room is hot and stuffy. So, in the first scenario, what is the result? Helpfulness is moderate. And in the second scenario, what is the result? Helpfulness is moderate. So, what is the question? Why don't these two conditions produce different levels of helpfulness? And what is the answer here? It is impossible to tell. Okay. It is completely impossible to tell because you are just seeing that negative mood. Even in that scenario, helpfulness is moderate, and even if someone has positive mood, even in that scenario, helpfulness is moderate. And here the confounding variable is the atmosphere of the room. So suppose the person who is in negative mood is made to sit in a room which is comfortable. So, his mood gets a little better. So that's why his helpfulness increases. And suppose the person who has positive mood is made to sit in hot and stuffy room. So he got bit irritate like he feels frustrated and irritated, and this leads to decrease in helpfulness. In both the cases, helpfulness becomes moderate. So, if we ask the question directly without looking at the confounding variable, that why don't these two conditions produce different levels of helpfulness, then it is impossible to tell what is the reason. Okay, so there can be many confounding variables. This is just one example. Because experiments are often conducted in laboratory settings, the issue of external validity, the extent to which the findings can be generalized to real life social situations and to people different from those who participated in the experiment, often is raised. Interpreting research results, inferential statistics, a special form of mathematics that allow the evaluation of likelihood that a given pattern of research results occurred by chance alone. If the likelihood that the results were due to chance is low, less than 5 times in 100, the results are described as significant. Results are viewed as tentative until replicated. Interpreting diverse results involves a statistical technique which is called meta-analysis. So basically, in that, data are combined from independent studies in order to determine whether specific variables, or we can say interaction between variables, have significant effect across these studies or not. And this is known as meta-analysis. What is the role of theory in social psychology? Okay, so if you are still confused about these research methods, you really don't need to worry about, because this whole is covered in research methodology part, which has already been uploaded. So please go and see those videos in detail. You will be able to understand each and every method, like it will be on your tips, because there are so many examples given, and there it is explained in way too much detail. So please go there and watch those videos, because here I'm just covering in very short. It is basically like the summary. So don't worry if you are unable to understand. Please go to the research methodology playlist and watch those videos. Okay, so now what is the role of theory in social psychology? Procedure involved in building theories. Theories are proposed on the basis of existing evidence. Theories help to organize information and make predictions about observable conditions. Hypotheses based on a theory are tested by research. If results support theory, confidence in theory is increased. If not, theory is modified and further research is conducted. In the end, the theory is accepted or rejected, but always remains open to further testing and refinement. Okay, so basically, suppose you got existing evidence that, suppose working out leads to increase in s- uh, like more workout leads to better sleep. Okay, so you must be having evidence for that. You propose this theory, so you must be having evidence for that. And how you can collect the evidence? You can take a control group where people are not doing the exercise, and having difficulty in sleeping, and other group is those people who are having difficulty in sleeping but they started working out. The experiment is basically conducted on those people. So when you make those people work out and they see that their sleep has been improved, that the in that way you have collected the evidence for your theory. So basically, theories help to organize information and make predictions about observable conditions. Hypotheses based on a theory are tested by research. Okay, so many researches are conducted because based on a theory, hypotheses are produced, and then those hypotheses are tested by research. For example, some might say that there is no relation between working out and sleeping pattern, or sleep quality. And some might say that it has negative impact, some might say that it has positive impact effect. So there are different hypotheses which will be tested based on the research. And if results support theory, confidence in theory is increased. If not, theory is modified and further research is conducted. In the end, the theory is accepted or rejected, but it always remains open to further testing and refinement. Then, seeking an appropriate balance, the use of deception, which is a technique whereby researchers withhold information about the purposes or procedures of a study from their participants. Some kinds of research may require it. However, its use raises ethical issues. Participants could be harmed, experience distress or anxiety. Participant could develop negative attitude towards psychological research. Safeguards that must be followed, informed consent must be there. Provide research participants with as much information as possible without about a research project before they decide whether to participate in it. Debriefing at the conclusion of the study provide participants with full information about the nature of the research and the hypothesis under investigation. And deception should be used only when absolutely necessary, and care must be taken to protect rights, safety, and well being of participants. So, the concept of deception is still, much debatable, because we still don't know if it should be used or not in psychological studies. But sometimes it is absolutely necessary because, if you inform the participants about the study, they are concerned and there will be many biases that will occur in the research. So whatever theory or whatever statement which is the which has to be proved by the research won't be valid because there will be too many biases. So there are very much chances of error. So that is it for today's video. Hope you understood the basics of social psychology, and I will see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.